Hey guys, it's your girl Tasha and welcome to my YouTube channel. As you guys have read down by the title, I'm going to be doing a quick get ready with me, chit chat, get to know me. So as you guys can already tell, I've already did my eyebrows and I primed and concealed my eyelids just to save us a little bit of time. So the palette that I'm going to be using today is actually this palette that a friend gave me. And it's this beautiful palette here, and it's the Hip Dot Zion palette. It has these really pretty colors, and excuse me, I have already swatched them, but yeah. I really don't know exactly what look I'm going for today. I'm just gonna see what I come up with. But to tell you guys a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, but my mom and my dad are both from Mexico. So yes, guys, shocking. I am a Latina. And I only really say shocking because ever since I was a little girl, around the time that I started like middle school, and I would have to like meet new kids or like start speaking Spanish for the first time or whatever, their initial reaction would always be, "Oh my God, you speak Spanish? I thought you were a gringa." And I would just like look at them with the most stank face ever and like just roll my eyes. And in the same dang sentence, they would ask me if I was adopted. And I would be like, "No, like, are you adopted?" But like, I've always got that when I was like younger. People would always ask me that, like, "Oh, like you look really pale and you have green eyes, like, we thought you were white." But as an adult, like I still get that to this day. I can be at work or helping someone and they'll like hear me speak Spanish and they'll say that to me. And now I just like laugh that off. But when I was younger, like that did used to like affect me and bother me. And only because I was already like, a self-conscious kid growing up. And that happened to be one of the things that I was kind of self-conscious about because I'm like in my immediate family, I was the palest with green eyes and like, And so when kids would say that to me, I was all like, "Well, thanks for pointing out the obvious." Like, as I got older though, like I learned not to let those types of comments like bother me. And I just kind of like, as I hear them as an adult now, I just kind of like laugh those comments off and just continue on with my day. I don't try to let those comments, bother me. And it really doesn't bother me anymore. When I was younger, like I said, it did. And like, I feel like every kid is kind of like self-conscious about something when they're younger. But that just happened to be one of the things that like I used to hear all the time growing up. Like, "Oh, you look so white. How are you Mexican? Are you adopted?" And I would just be like, who asks people those types of questions though? Like, But another thing, and no, my first name really isn't Tasha. It's actually Anastasia. Tasha is just a nickname that I got when I was younger and that everyone used to always call me. But in all actuality, my nickname wasn't even Tasha. It was actually Tacha. But growing up, I used to hate that name. Like, when I tell y'all I hated that name, I hated that name. Like, my friends would call me Tacha or try. So my friends would call me Tacha. And when they would try to pronounce it in English, they would be like, Tacha. And I would always tell them, like, "No, that's not how you pronounce it. It's pronounced Tasha." And they would be like, "Well, that can't be how it's pronounced because you spell your name with a Tacha, not with an S." So I used to just like tell them, "Oh, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I know how my name is pronounced. How are you going to tell me, you know? But really, what was the icing on the cake for me on why I hated that nickname? I was in school one day and we had to do like a class assignment, like group project. And I was working with one of this young boy. And I remember he started laughing at me. And in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, like, why is he laughing? Like, do I smell? Like, is my hair looking crazy? Like, why is he laughing at me? And he asked me like, is your name Tacha? And I was like, yeah, why? And he just started laughing even more. And in my mind, I'm still like, why are you laughing? Like, what is so funny about that? And he's all like, do you know that in Mexico there's a drug called Tacha? And I just looked at him like, no, you're lying. That's not true. And every day when I would come to school, this boy would always tease me and be like, Tacha, ha ha ha, give me a Tacha. And I would get so mad because I'm all like, dude, you don't even know my name. Like, that's not even how you say my name. My name is pronounced Tasha. So one day when I went home, I remember I was doing my homework. And I used to write my nickname on all my paperwork because my teachers also knew me as Tasha. So I decided instead of put the C, I changed it and I put an S. And for me, it was no big deal, but my mom, that's a whole different story. She like happened to be sitting behind me and she looked down at me and was all like, who's this Tasha girl? And I was like, Mom, that's me. But when I write my name with the C, you know, people make fun of me. And I told her the whole story about that boy in class or whatever. And she's like, just don't listen to them. Ellos que saben, you know. And I was all like, okay, Mom. I'm like, but I'm still going to write it with an S. And she would tell me, no, like, you're not going to do that. But me being a kid, not listening to my mom or my parents, when I would go to school, I would write it with an S. But when I was at home, I would write it with a C. And if she would check my papers when I was home or whatever, she would obviously see that it's still spelled the way that she told me to spell it. But just when I would go to school, it would be spelled with an S. And she used to get so mad at me, like, and when she would hear people like say Tasha, like she would even like try to correct some of my friends and be like, no, you guys know her name is not Tasha, it's Tacha. And I would be like, Mom, they know that. Like, they're just not saying it like that. And again, shout out to you, Mom. I love you. Like, I know you hate that name. But even family members and stuff started just eventually calling me Tasha. No one really in my immediate family calls me Anastasia, except my mom or my dad when they're trying to get my attention. And if they're really trying to get my attention, they'll use my whole long government name. So, but besides that, like, no one really calls me Anastasia. You know, everyone usually just calls me Tasha. So that's why I really go by that name, and that name is like kind of just easier to tell people, and like, you know, it just rolls off my tongue so easily that sometimes I forget that my real name isn't even Tasha. It's actually Anastasia. Sorry guys, that's my dog. So speaking about family, I'm also not an only child. I am a child of 6 kids. I am the 5th child. And growing up in the household, I only grew up with like 2 of my siblings. And that was my second oldest brother, Jonathan, and my youngest brother, Ricardo. My other 3 siblings, they were already grown and out of the house by then. You know, living their own best lives, doing whatever they did. But growing up with like 2 brothers and me being the only girl, it was always, you know, bickering back and forth, you know, like siblings do. My share fares of like arguments and fights or whatever. And really though, my relationship with both my brothers was actually different. because my older brother, Jonathan, me and him are actually just 1 year apart. No, we're actually 1 year and 3 days apart, and we're both Pisces. So, you know, we would always argue back and forth or bicker with each other about like dumb things, like the craziest dumb things. It could be I would want to watch something on TV and he'd want to watch something else, and we would argue about that. Or, you know, who had to wash the dishes. Things like that me and him would bicker about. But the crazy thing is that my older brother, he always knew how to push my buttons. Like, I was told when I was younger that I had an attitude problem and that my attitude was really bad and that I get mad too quick. But in my mind, I didn't think so. I thought like, well, if you're going to keep pushing my buttons and keep making me mad, you're going to get this reaction out of me. So my brother Jonathan, he was that guy. He was that guy that he always knew when I was mad, or he always knew if I just got into it with my mom or my dad. And it was like he would come into my room and say, hey, I'm gonna with you today. So I'm going to just come in here and push your buttons until you get so mad that you'll be ready to fight me. Now, that was the kicker, guys. My brother would get me so mad to the point where I was, like, ready to fight. And, like, you know, when you tell a kid, don't touch the stove, it's hot, but they keep trying to touch the stove and keep trying to touch the stove. Okay, that was my brother Jonathan. It was like you would tell him, leave me alone, I'm not in the mood. Leave me alone, I'm not in the mood. But he would still sit there and poke and poke and poke. And until I finally blew up and would be ready to like fight him, he would do one or two things. He would run off and like lock himself in the room, or he would try to hurry up and pin me down and tell me to calm down and chill, Tasha, chill, you're tripping, chill. And that used to get on my last nerve, because there would be times when my brother Jonathan was stronger than me and I wasn't able like to get him off of me, or, you know, get him to get up. And it would make me mad because I'd be like trying to sit there and like really like use all my strength to get him off of me. And he'd be like, you need to just calm down. I'm like, now you want me to calm down after you just made me this mad? So it was just always something with my brother. But I mean, it wasn't always, you know, us arguing and fighting, bickering. Because like, he was all like, at the same time he knew how to make me mad, he also knew how to make me smile and how to make me like just enjoy life. You know, there would be times where, like I said, when I was younger, I was self-conscious about myself sometimes. So there was times where, like, I would feel down about myself, or if I was sad, or I just got into it with my mom, or just anything like that, and I just didn't feel my best self. I knew I could always go into my brother's room, and I wouldn't even have to say anything to him sometimes. I would just sit in there and, like, just look at him, or, like, just sit in there quietly. And he would start doing the most dumbest things that would get me to start laughing so hard that I would forget about what I was mad about, what I was sad about, all of that. And that was a quality that I loved and hated about him. Because when we would get into our heated arguments and when I'd be ready to fight, there were times that he would start trying to make me laugh and try to make me like not angry with him no more. And it would just make me even more mad, because I'm like, dude, I don't want to be like laughing with you right now. I don't want to like, you know, be kiki-keying with you. I want to be mad at you right now. Like, you just made me mad, and like now you're trying to make me all happy again, and it's just not what I want to be doing right now. And so my brother Jonathan would always take me sometimes like up and down like an emotional roller coaster. But for the most part, I loved my big brother. Like, you know, there was never a dull or boring moment growing up with my brothers. Now, my little brother Ricardo, he was different. Now, it was different with him because me and him are 6 years apart. So he was like, obviously the youngest out of all of us. And him being 6 years apart from me, he was 7 years apart from my brother, my older brother, Jonathan. And there was a point in our lives, I remember, when we moved to Connecticut. And I think we lived there for about like a year or two. And we stayed with an uncle at one point while we were there. And my uncle, he had kids of his own. And he had 3 boys, and they were around the age of my brother Jonathan when we moved when we moved to Connecticut. So Jonathan kind of like gained 3 other big brothers, or 3 other brothers to hang out with, whenever they would go play baseball or basketball or anything like that. Me and my little brother would go with them, but they necessarily wouldn't let my younger brother play because he was the youngest and he was younger. So they would make us just run off and like, oh, y'all go play at the park while we play our game. So me and my younger brother, we started getting close at that point, because we were always playing together. We only had kind of like each other to play with and hang out with. So my little brother kind of, when he was younger, he was like my best friend. And like, he was very like, he was a little attached to me. And like, I remember after we moved back to Atlanta, he started kindergarten, and I was still in elementary school with him. So I remember a couple times he would be going to we would be going to lunch, and his class would be like just leaving lunch. And anytime my little brother would see me walk into the cafeteria, he would start crying to his teacher and would tell her like, oh, please, can I stay with my sister and eat lunch with her? Like, and he would cry so hard, like, and I would tell him like, don't cry. Like, I'll see you after school. Like, it's going to be okay. And he just didn't understand because he was still little and he was young then. So it got to a point where his pre-K teacher, he wasn't in kindergarten, he was in pre-K. His pre-K teacher came to me and asked me if I wanted to sign up for the mentor and mentee program. So where basically she would become my mentor. And I told her, yeah, that would be a good idea. And she's like, well, if you do, like, after your lunch, you could come to my class and read to them for like 30 minutes. Like, and that way maybe he won't like, cry every time, he would see you at lunch. So I told her, okay, that's a great idea. I don't have a problem with that. And so that's how I became, a mentor and mentee with his teacher. And it was like, with Ricardo, he was very clingy when he was younger. Like, he'd always want to hang out with me, or he would always want to be around my mom. And there was points of time where I was very overprotective of him, because like there would be like sometimes little kids that would like pick on him or like say things to him, and I'd feel like, okay, I'm not gonna let no one sit there and obviously pick on my little brother. So I would like say something to like all the time to these kids, like, and he would cry to me if someone would like bother him or do something to him. And like, when like kids would like make fun of him or pick on him. And when he was younger, he was more sensitive than he is now. Like, he would cry if like other kids would make fun of like the way he looked, or if they wouldn't let him play a game that he wanted to play, and they were like, no, you're just too little, or no, you're not fast enough. And like a little kid, they would cry, get in their feelings. So there were times that I would like, step in and tell him like, it's gonna be okay, like, don't even cry. Around the age, I want to say when he became like 13, is when kind of like, our relationship kind of started to change. Because he wanted to start hanging out with my brother Jonathan more. So like, he started becoming a little bit more distant. And you know, at that age, when you're a boy, you feel like you know everything, and he obviously did. And when people used to say I had a bad attitude, so did he. But his attitude was more like my dad's. So we would bump heads from time to time, but I can only really recall like one big old fight that me and him had, but nothing major. But for the most part, we had a pretty good, you know, relationship. Me and my brothers growing up. And we also had a pretty good childhood. Like my mom, when we were younger, she signed us up for this program called the Boys and Girls Club. And that's really where we like used to hang out at when we were younger, and after school and things like that. We would go hang out there while my mom like worked and stuff. And really that's where we like experienced a lot of things. Like we went to camp for the first time there, and the Boys and Girls Club is really kind of like the YMCA. But during the summer they had where you can go to camp for like a week. And I used to remember, had like great memories growing up there, like great memories, you know, growing up in camp. You never been in camp before. So I got to experience kind of new things like fishing and archery. They would also take us like to Six Flags and different little field trips like that during the summertime. You know, so me and my brothers, we had, like I said, we had a pretty good childhood growing up. It was never like a dull, boring moment. We never like had a time like where we were like, oh, what to do or things like that. Even like we had a bunch of cousins and stuff growing up, and we have a pretty big family. So like whenever there was like big old parties or anything like that, all of our cousins would come over and we would get a chance to hang out with them. And we would all go to different schools, so sometimes we wouldn't see each other as much. But when we had like Christmas or Thanksgiving, or it was someone's birthday, like as kids we were all getting together and hanging out. And even then we would all do crazy things then. Like we used to play hide and go seek and do just different little things like that as kids, you know, growing up, that you wouldn't do now, obviously, because you're an adult. But so this is the look so far. I'm really liking the way the colors are blending and the way the colors are just blending very good with my skin tone. I'm actually almost done with this eyeshadow. I'm just gonna put this final color here. It's called Virgin, and I'm just so excited. Like it looks so pretty and so pigmented, and I cannot wait. I'm trying to decide if I am going to, well, I was gonna put glitter, but I don't think you really need glitter with that color. Like I think it's really pretty by itself, so I probably won't need any glitter with it. So yeah, for the most part, I've always really just lived in Atlanta. Like I said, I lived a little bit in Connecticut when we were kids. And my mom did send us to Mexico one time when we were kids. And that was really fun too. Like we got a chance to go visit. We have family. My dad's family actually still lives out there. So we got to go visit them one time as kids. So that was a pretty fun experience also. I've never been out of the country since then. I really like this color and this look, guys. This is just so pretty. Like, so I would like to travel more. Mexico is actually like the only time I've ever really been out of the country. And I would like to see like different types of places. And I that was like my second time being on like a plane too, was when we went. No, that was my first time being on a plane when we went to Mexico. My second time is when I went to Florida for my birthday one year with a friend. And I recently just came back from Vegas. I actually went to Vegas for the first time, and I went on a trip there with my boyfriend. It was his birthday, and it was like so much fun. Like, I've never been there before, and we're actually planning to probably try to go and do another trip soon, hopefully. But I'll probably take that and vlog with you guys so you guys can see the experience there. And but I'm excited like to see where this whole YouTube thing goes. I've always wanted to like start my own channel, but for whatever reason, like, things got in the way, like life, you know, life's sometimes hard. So, you know, you gotta just go with the punches. And I guess for whatever reason, I guess it was just wasn't meant to be for me to start my channel when I did back then. Now I just have a little bit more time and a lot more energy and time to commit to it like I want to. But like, I really want to do different things on this channel. Like, I only don't want to focus on just makeup. I really do love doing makeup, and that's something that I've always loved to do. Like, growing up, also, like, when I was a kid, when I started actually getting into makeup, it was, like, they're really therapeutic because, like I said, I did have an attitude when I was younger. And whenever I would get mad or just was feeling down, like, I would just pick up a makeup brush and just say, I'm going to do my makeup for the day. And that would always make me feel better. So, like, I love doing makeup, and that's what I do. That is like a passion of mine. But I do want to do more than just like makeup on this channel. Like, I do want to vlog a bunch of like story times I have that I would like to do, a couple of mukbangs, you know, things like that, just to entertain myself also. Like I said, I have a lot more time now that I could commit to it and plan out what exactly I would like this whole experience to be for myself. And like I said, it just is something new. It's something new for me. Like, even being behind a camera is new because I didn't like even being the center of attention growing up. Like, I hated when we had to like do presentations growing up in school, or like if you had to get up and like talk in front of a class or whatever. I used to hate that. I was always the kid trying to get out of that. Like, I was never really like, I was a little shy kid sometimes growing up. Like, I didn't like the center of attention to be all on me. So even this, like, this is kind of a whole new experience for me, like getting behind a camera and figuring out what to talk to you guys about and what to really tell you and what I want to put out there. You know, it's all kind of new for me. But I'm really doing this for fun. This is just like, I'm not trying to take this like, oh, serious. Like, this is like my everyday, day-to-day job. Like, I have a 9 to 5. But I just like wanted to do it on my spare time and just see where it takes me and see where I can actually go with this whole platform and put myself out there as far as like with my makeup. Like I said, I don't only want to focus on makeup, but I do want to do different things. Like, even during the quarantine, like, as you can see, I have these long nails. Like, I even taught myself how to do my nails. I didn't go to school for it. I'm not like a professional or anything. Like, I just kind of, you know, during the quarantine said, hey, I need to get my nails done, and I can't go to the nail salon right now. So I just started teaching myself, and I actually like enjoy that a lot more. Like, doing it myself, trying to like teaching myself how I did it. It did take a process, and I'm still kind of learning. So that's also like another thing that I kind of want to like include into this channel, like the process and the journey that I'm going through with doing my nails and makeup and like different little things like that. I also want to like, you know, do different like little tags like with friends and like my brothers and sisters, like, you know, so my boyfriend. So it's just I'm just really excited to see where all this goes and how this all turns out in the end. So it's just like a really new, fun experience for me. And it just will probably also help me open up more and come out of my shell and not be so shy. Because at times I can be a little shy still. But I try not to be. But when I get mad, oh, I'm not shy then. I will tell you how I feel, what I feel. You'll know then. And I mean, like I said, I can be shy. But like when I'm around friends that I've known forever or family members, I am not shy at all. Like I'm comfortable around you. I can be myself. But when it comes to like meeting new people or putting yourself out there, yeah, I can be a little shy and I can be like, no, I'm not gonna like, just put myself out there like that. So that's kind of like where I want to see, like, push myself to do things that I've never done before, even the things that scare me. Like, I can be a baby when it comes to things. I can be a little scaredy cat. I mean, and even too, like, I am an emotional person. So, like, I can cry over, like, this. Like, I can be watching a sad movie and I will start crying. Or my boyfriend will put something on and he will catch me crying at, like, the drop of, like, anything sad or anything like that. I'm a big baby when it comes to things like that. So, I'm just looking forward to seeing, like, where all this goes and what I end up doing and how my progress goes with the whole experience and it's just exciting to see how this all works out is basically what I'm looking forward to. And I love this color, guys. Like I really love the way these colors are blending. Like they look really good. So I actually like the way this eyeshadow looks. It's really like pretty. I just need to add highlight and I'm actually going to use this Anastasia highlight. No pun intended. But only difference is mine is with a C and not an S. But it's this palette here in Moonchild. And I'm just going to put a little highlight on my brow. If I can find. And it's, I don't know if you guys can see. There you go. It's this pretty color right here that I'm going to use. It's called Pink Heart. And I'm sorry I'm not actually looking at you guys right now. I have a mirror right here in front of me that I'm actually looking at. So I am so sorry. So I'm just going to add Pink Heart on this other brow bone here. And this palette, this highlighting palette is just so pretty. And I'm actually done with my eyeshadow, guys. All I need to do is put my eyelashes and my foundation. And I'm actually going to do that off camera for you guys. And I'll be right back with the final look. This is the final look, guys. I really love the way this makeup came out. I hope you guys enjoyed my video today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And push that post notification bell so you can be alerted anytime I drop a new video. Till next time, guys. Peace.